This was my setup 5 years ago. Yeah, I know, that's pretty bad. But at the time, I thought this was the best thing that I ever put together. So then came upgrade, after upgrade, after upgrade, after upgrade. And now I'd say I'm finally at a point where this isn't the best setup in the world, but it's definitely a space where I can focus and be as productive as possible as a university student. So let me take you through all the pieces in the space that make it work. And this is going to be a tour of all the gear I curated over the past 5 years to create my almost dream desk setup. The entire setup would be completely obsolete if I didn't have a good desk chair, so that's why I'm using the Autonomous Ergo Chair Pro, which I've had since about 2021, and it was probably my largest purchase at the time since it cost me 600 Canadian dollars, but it was absolutely worth it since I've had the chair for so long and I haven't had any issues with it at all. The headrest did come off, but if I'm being honest, I actually prefer it this way. Of course, I have the infamous IKEA desk combo with the Salging countertop, an Alex drawer, and 2 desk legs. Now, when I bought this 5 years ago, they were super popular and there really wasn't many options for other desks that were around the same price and as sturdy. And since then, I haven't had any issues with it, so it works for me. Inside the top drawer, I have this desk organizer. I forget what it's called, but it's really nice. I use it to be able to keep all the random things that I have in there organized, and it's also made from felt. This is a great way to keep the stuff in your drawers organized and just make it look nice. Cable management is also brought to you by IKEA with the Signum rack. If I'm being honest, there really wasn't a way for me to actually do proper cable management because I kept buying things and changing things. So this kind of works because all you have to do is just route your cables and then stuff them and forget about it. And maybe it doesn't look the absolute best, but it's not like you're gonna be looking at the underside of your desk all the time anyways. I also have a shelf from, you guessed it, IKEA. While I have absolutely no idea what to do with this, it's basically looked the exact same since I bought it a couple years ago. I just have one plant and then some G Fuel that I haven't touched in years. It's probably expired at this point, but I don't really know exactly what to put on it. I do have a Gobi light bar underneath it that is more there for the function of ambient lighting so that I don't have to use the big light. I hate using the big light. So it just creates some extra light at nighttime so that my room isn't completely dark. I wouldn't really put anything else on the wall, but I don't want it to be empty, so I think it's just a nice addition to have to fill up space. Moving on to what is actually on top of the desk, this is probably my favorite part of the entire setup. This is my audio gear, which is actually a setup in itself. So for the control center, I guess I could call it, this is the Wave XLR. It is an audio interface that allows you to separate your audio into different channels so that you can control them individually. It also has a bunch of other different features that I could probably make an entire video about by itself. Connected to that are the Edifier MR4s. These are studio monitors, which are actually my first pair. Before this, I had some cheap Logitech desktop speakers that definitely got the job done, but if you compare them to these, the difference is night and day because these sound amazing, and not just in one thing but basically everything. I use them to listen to music, watch YouTube, edit videos, play video games, and they sound amazing with all of them. Whenever I don't want my audio coming out of the speaker, I use my IEMs. These are the Sigmod EW200s, which are a really nice pair of budget IEMs that I actually got sent to me about over a year ago. I'm honestly surprised they lasted this long because other pairs that I've had usually don't last more than about a year, so I'd actually recommend these. Also connected to the Wave XLR is the Shure MV7, which is similar to the Shure SM7B, but it can be used via USB as well, and it's mounted on the Elgato Wave low profile mic arm. So the reason why I said my audio setup works so well is because every single device I have can get audio. because my IEMs are hooked up to the Wave XLR and my speakers are hooked up to my monitor, no matter which device I use, everything can get sound very easily. And this includes my PC, but even if I have my MacBook hooked up my monitor via the KVM switch, it can also be used with my speakers as well, and the PlayStation 5 too, which is the original PlayStation 5 from 2021 that I think only has about 800 gigabytes of storage, so I do have to delete and re-download games whenever I want to play. I don't really mind since I only play one game at a time, and currently I am playing Horizon Zero Dawn, so I'm looking forward to finishing that. Moving on to the peripherals, I have two mice, both from Logitech, and both really great. One is a gaming mouse, the Logitech G Pro X Superlight, which I obviously use mostly for gaming. Recently I've been using it for everything else as well, but on the other hand, the Logitech MX Master 3S cannot be used for gaming. It only gets used for productivity, which is completely fine because it's a great mouse for getting work done, especially video editing. I love the side scroll wheel, which is really useful in apps like Premiere Pro. It seems kind of niche, but like once you have it, it's such a great feature to have. I use both of them on top of this really basic Razer Goliath mouse pad. It gets the job done. I can't complain. It was also pretty cheap, which is always great. And then unlike my mice, I only have one keyboard that I can use for both gaming and productivity. This is the Melgeek Mojo 68. It's a 65% mechanical custom keyboard. One of the best parts of this keyboard though is that it can be used wireless or Bluetooth. I find that a lot of keyboards can only be used either way, which might not seem like a huge problem, but for me personally, I like using this coiled keyboard cable from Glorious, and then when I take my keyboard with me back to school, I don't like using a cable, so being able to use it wireless or via Bluetooth makes it a lot easier for me. Next to my Wave XLR is my Stream Deck Mini, which only has 6 keys, but I think that's perfect for me because I don't have too many uses for it. But it's very nice to have a little macro pad where I can easily mute my mic. And then if we shift the camera just slightly up and move back a bit, because this is a pretty big monitor, this is the MSI Mag 401 QR, which is a 40-inch gaming monitor that I don't really use for gaming. I mostly got it because I wanted a monitor that was 1440p, ultra-wide, 155 FPS, and unsurprisingly, there's not many ultra-wide monitors that aren't curved. Something that I kind of had to learn the hard way, but I feel like this is probably the biggest size that you can get away with if you want a flat ultra-wide monitor. I do find that sometimes I do have to end up leaning toward one side because I can't fully see the other side, but for the most part, it's completely fine. I love having it. It's basically like kind of having two smaller monitors that you can multitask with. So I find that very useful for productivity, and even for gaming, it's really good. I usually play a lot of Marvel Rivals with this, which can be fully utilized with the 40 inches. However, on PlayStation 5, they don't support it. So I do play it in stretch res, which looks very silly at first, but you definitely get used to it. Finally, what I'm pretty sure everyone has all been waiting for, powering the entire setup, is my PC, which looks a lot nicer than it actually is because it's about 4 years old. I initially bought it for gaming, but over time I've basically been using it for everything but gaming. So it has a Ryzen 5 5600X, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a 256 gigabyte NVMe M.2 SSD on a B450 Mini ITX motherboard, plus a hard drive. Yes, a hard drive in 2025. That's kind of crazy. Long story short, I did a case swap that ended up turning into me just building a new PC because I got a new CPU and a new GPU, and then I was too lazy to clone my hard drive, so I ended up just keeping it and then putting a new one in the old PC that I ended up selling. So now I just have the same hard drive, but I'm pretty content. And also my motherboard is too small for me to get another M.2 drive. So we have to make do with what we have. Everything is powered by a 600 watt PSU from EVGA, cooled by the Deepcool LD240 AIO, and it's all cased in the Corsair Crystal Series 280X in black. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot, probably the most important part, the GPU. It's a 3060. Now, despite it being somewhat kind of outdated in basically every single way, it performs well for what I need to use it for. Like, it actually does pretty decently in 4K video editing and even gaming, even though I basically only play one game on it. I definitely do want to upgrade within the next 1 or 2 years, but considering I don't do anything that is super demanding, this is perfectly fine for me. Now, also on top of my PC, I just have a random assortment of things that I use on a daily basis. I don't really want to keep them on my desk because I need to be able to get them whenever I need them. And even though it does look a bit cluttered, I kind of like that it looks like that. Now, if I'm being honest, there still are some things that I want to change and add to the desk setup, but as it sits right now, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It may not be the best of the best based on the gear I have, and because my PC is edging 5 years old, I'm pretty happy with what I have since it allows me to do some of the things I love to do, like making videos, watching videos, gaming. As long as I have a space to be able to do that and also get my work done for school, then I'm happy. And best believe that when I do make those changes, I will be making a video about it.